Hello, my spooky dudes, and welcome back to the Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. I'm Count Mikula.
I'm Frankenpass.
Welcome to the podcast. If you don't know, it's Halloween tonight. Ooh, from the past. Yeah. So what you been up to? I was trying to think of a good intro for Halloween.
Yeah. I don't know, decent amount of stuff this week, actually. Still working on that D&D story. It's coming together. That's pretty cool. I got the anniversary with the old lady coming up. Thank you, by the way. I got my present today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So,
it's like, it'd be pretty nice if you had a breaking cue for that.
Break cue, jump cue. So,
what'd she get?
What's that?
What did she get?
I think she just got the one, she's like, basically, Mikey just picked it out.
Oh.
It's the Stinger, the McDermott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I was going to get you the Predator one, but then I was like, I don't love you that much. This thing's like fucking $500. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably not even worth it, really.
Uh-huh.
So that's cool. I got a jump cue and a break cue now. Basically, from what I can tell, the break ferrule, the shaft or whatever, is just similar to the same one that I have on my shooting cue. It's just got a harder tip. So basically, I can just use that one as a backup and use the other one for the jump cue.
Oh, interesting. It's just shorter and like heavier too, right?
What's that?
Like a break cue is usually just shorter and heavier, or is it?
It's heavier and longer. Actually.
Oh, it's longer.
And the shooting ferrule is about that much longer. And then the tip is like a lot harder, and then it has more weight to it. Like it's weighted, not just heavier all around, but like weighted for breaking. But all the shafts are interchangeable on all the cues, so I can use.
Oh, cool. I
could use the breaking cue, or whatever, just for shooting if I wanted. But basically, I'll probably just end up carrying the. I think the thing is now I gotta get a new case.
Yeah.
Because now I have like too much. Like the second.
Might as well just get a bridge too.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Just have like a commando fucking like.
It's like a rollaway bag.
Yeah. So is that we're planning anniversary dinner next week.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Watched some stuff. Did some work. So we played some more D&D. Shot some more pool. Yeah, most of the same things. I went to the dentist this week. I think I might have told you this off podcast already. Yeah. So that's fun. Apparently I need a bunch of fucking dental work done. That if I get it all done, it'll be like, I don't know, fucking $2,000 or something like that. But I don't know that I'm going to get it all done.
Not all at once.
Not period. I don't know. Like, he's basically recommending that all 4 of my wisdom teeth come out. And the 2 on the top, the one on my right side, is the reason I went in, because it's
impacting.
Oh no, it's just like, I think what happened is one of the pieces, the filling fell out. And so now there's basically like there's filling, and then the tooth in front of it has a filling, and then the piece of it fell out. So now there's like a little fucking like hole that just goes like up to my gum. Yeah. And food gets trapped up in there, and it's gnarly. And so I was like, fuck, I should get this taken care of. And
I had a similar thing too happen to me.
Yeah, was it you have silver fillings?
No, it was like the not the silver fillings, but like the white fillings. I don't know, the ceramic. I don't know.
Yeah, the ceramic.
What it just chipped away, and there was like a hole in the middle of my molar, and then food would go up there, and it got infected. And
so I've been trying to clean it out, and so that was all a big fucking thing. And he was like, well, the thing is your wisdom teeth are crowding your teeth. I'm like, yeah, well, don't I know it? I got a fucking underbite, so my teeth are all crowded. And he's like, yeah, so that's a problem, mostly because you have cavities adjacent to your wisdom teeth on the top. And because you have cavities adjacent to your wisdom teeth because your wisdom teeth are just fucking rotting. Yeah. And so they're just infecting your adjacent teeth. But if you just take them out, they won't do that. Yeah. And so I can fill those cavities. But the bottom ones, he's just like, oh, they're just kind of crowded. But I'm like, there's no cavities on them, though. He's like, no, but you might want to take them out anyway. I'm like, okay, let's do the upper right first, and then upper left, and then we'll see what's up where I am.
You're going to do 2 separate times?
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that.
I've never had a wisdom tooth pull. Is it really rough?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Wow. So it's better to just get it over with rather than like shooting yourself in one arm and then shooting off your other arm.
Well, mostly I was just trying to avoid a fucking gigantic bill.
Yeah, I understand that. But like the pain of that, you're going to wish. It's like, I should have gotten both at the same time.
Oh, maybe I can still change the appointment.
Well, it's up to you.
It's supposed to be next Friday, so So that was a thing. So I had to invest in some other like tooth care shit. I had to buy a water pick and a end tufted toothbrush. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's like it's this compacted bristles and they're shaped like this.
Huh.
And so it's like made to get like hard to reach places in the back. And the lady was telling me about it, and I felt kind of bad because she's Hispanic, and so she kept saying,
No.
"And tufted toothbrush, you need to get an antoptic toothbrush." And I'm like, "What is an antoptic toothbrush?" And she's like, "Oh, I will show you when we're done. Like look it up." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll just look up where I can find them." And she's like, "Oh, it should only be like $5 or $6." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "And how do you spell it?" And she's like, "Antoptic toothbrush." And I'm like, "Ant-optic?" I'm like, "What is ant-optic?" And she spells it, and I'm like, "Oh, end tufted." Mm-hmm. She's like, "Yeah, so ant-optic toothbrush." And I'm like, "Sorry." Felt like I was being a dick. But it was like, it sounded like she was saying antoptic. Mm-hmm. And I was like, doesn't that sound like a word that could be a thing, even though it's not something you know what it means? It's like antiseptic and toptical or something together. Like antoptic. Yeah. Optical fucking something. So, yeah, I had to go do that, shell out a bunch of fucking money, and so just, shelling out a bunch of money on shit, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's
shit
fun.
you don't want.
Well, and
that's
the thing
the worst.
It's just like, well, no, here, it's like a confluence of a bunch of purchases that aren't expensive purchases, but all happening at once. Mm-hmm. So, I went to the dentist, that was $150. Mm-hmm. I had to order this water pick and these other toothbrushes, that was like $50, mm-hmm. right? Then I was like, okay, so I just fucking try not to spend money on shit, which I generally don't. And then I was like, fuck, I gotta fill my car up with gas, right? So there's like $30 or $40. And then I'm driving and I notice like, oh crap, I got like 100 miles to like my oil changed on my car now. And it's like, it's just like fucking all these like $50, $60 purchases. And I was like, and then I was a dipshit and I was like, oh, we're gonna buy some D&D stuff. Bought some fucking D&D shit. And I'm like, why did I do that? Like, I don't know. Mostly because I was irritated that I had to spend money on other stuff. So my solution to that is to spend money on things I want.
Yeah, I usually do that too. It's like self-soothing.
Yeah, I did. I bought a couple of books that I've been wanting too. Uh-huh. And so I was like, fucking just mad that I have to spend money on shit. So I just spend money on things that I would want. Because then at least the hurt is like soothed, like you said.
Books.
Yeah, I got these books. It's like I got this really cool book. It's called the, what is it? Not Slanglish. It's called,
How to Connect with Millennials.
No, it's basically a dictionary of, like, double. So it's, like, got all these phrases in there, and it's, like, and it decodes them for you. Like, all this jargon and all this, like, gobbledygook fucking word salad shit that people spew at you, and it kind of just gives you like the no nonsense, like that's what it is. And I'm like,
example.
Trying to think of a really often used example. Downsizing. You laid a bunch of people off, right? Right?
Yeah.
You laid a bunch of people off.
Yeah,
So it's just stuff like that, or it's like assets in a military sense. Assets. What are those? Oh, they're bombs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're military assets. They're bombs. Yeah. Like, pro-life, pro-choice, right? The issue. Those are both euphemisms for the issue at hand, which is abortion. You're either for abortion rights or you're opposed to abortion rights, and we just use euphemisms of pro-life and pro-choice to describe them. And so it's just like a whole dictionary of that stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, and so I was like, I want to get that because it'd be a good like reference guide to have when I'm writing. Especially, I'm pretty hip to most bullshit jargon like that. But every now and again, you do come across one that you're like, what the fuck are they saying with this? And you have to try to decode it. It's a little dictionary. It's got them all in it. It's good reading.
Dog whistle.
When someone says something politically with which you disagree,
and then it's like racist undertones to it. Keep those people away. Violent people away.
Oh, but you're not saying that the phrase dog whistling is a doublespeak.
Yeah. It's just a term they would use, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, that's typical, you even hear it when someone says something. No one ever makes racist or sexist remarks, right? They say like something like uncouth or uncouth remarks or or unwelcomed remarks or something like that. Like it's never a phrase. Someone says something sexist or racist, it's like they don't come right out and just say that. So it's but I'm trying to think of what the dictionary is called now. I can't. It's like it's a play on words itself. But
Whoa.
Anyway, so yeah, I got that to kind of ease the pain a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. What about you, man? What have you been doing?
Nothing new. Just more of the same again.
All right. See you guys next
All
week.
right, see you guys. I'm out of here. No, just try to watch new stuff. Try to squeeze that in a little bit. Not successful. Yeah, I watched New Mandalorian. That was good.
Well, that's new.
Watched a whole bunch of Randy stuff. Amazing Randy. Is it Amazing Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watching his stuff. That was fun to go.
I love James Randi, man.
Yeah, watch that stuff over again.
Yeah.
And my question is like, he's been old all the time. Like, there's any point in any time of his life where he's like, oh, I'm a kid.
Yep.
He's just
You
fucking
see videos
old.
of him from like the 70s and he
Yeah.
gets
I
old.
was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he was like in his 90s when he died a few years ago. He was pretty fucking old.
He just recently died.
A few years ago, yeah. Right after that documentary about him came out.
No, he just recently died, didn't he?
I don't think so. I think it's been a year or two ago.
No. Just recently.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because that's where all the news popped up of James Randi. And I was like, what is going on?
Oh.
And he just passed away.
Oh. Maybe he got sick a while ago and they thought he was going to die.
Maybe.
But yeah. Yeah, that's sad. That guy he's the guy, the $1 Million Challenge guy. So, yeah, he's
James Randi Foundation.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think that foundation exists anymore, but
Yeah.
But yeah, for the longest time they had the $1 million provable psychic phenomenon or whatever. Like you get $1 million, and I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago they released them. They said that we're not setting this $1 million aside anymore. It's been 25 years. And no one's ever taken us up on this. So
One person did. I think it was a psychic, and she just fucking failed.
did she take them up on it?
Yeah.
Because I know we did lots of stuff on the like TV shows, but I don't know if those were people like taking them up on that offer or whatever. But yeah, I mean, especially if you know anything about magicians, really like idolize him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of magicians, so he's really big in that community. And then there's a pretty big overlap with magicians and skeptics.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's in like in the Venn diagram of both of those communities. So he's like, a founding father. He's the Doyle Brunson of the skeptic world.
Whoa.
So
That was good.
yeah, I watched a documentary about him a few years ago because he came out like in his like 70s or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so there was this documentary about that. And
A documentary of him coming out?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was like supposedly like a documentary about him,
Uh-huh.
and then it just had like this element about him coming out. The angle was like, a man who was like devoted his whole life to like shining light on things and like whatever, is kind of like leading a secret life and like yada yada yada, and so yeah, he came out like in his 70s or whatever, and the documentary was a little more about that than it didn't really like illuminate anything about him that I thought was intriguing. Like I think he's an intriguing personality, and it's like the fact that he's gay is just kind of an aside to me.
Yeah, I was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I didn't care really all that much. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, sure, it's great, but it's like, it's not like, like I struggled my whole life, and he's just like, no, it's just like, it's just not something that I ever really was public about because it doesn't really have much to do with my public image or what I do for a living or anything. Why the hell would I talk about it? Like, who cares, right? Like, it's his attitude.
Yeah.
We're making a documentary about it. He's like, all right, whatever. Like, let me show you some magic and shit, right?
Yeah. Watching that, and then, kind of dabble in a lot of things. Watched the first episode of the second season of Mandalorian. Pretty good. Continuing on to the goodness of the Mando. Yeah, that was good. Watched. I didn't get to finish it, but Borat 2.
Very
But then that
nice.
kind of just like spiraled in me watching old Borat clips, and then I wasn't really too into Ollie G. But I was watching some of those clips. They're really fucking funny.
Yeah, I wasn't ever too into him like when it was like new, but like when Borat came out, I went back and watched some of the clips. I remember they had this they did this. He did all these promos for the NBA on like TBS when TBS was like
Ali G?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They had all these so like
for the American market or for the UK market?
it was for the American market
Wow.
because TBS for a while had NBA games. This was years ago.
Yeah.
It was probably a year or two after Borat came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were having, or it was TNT, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA on TNT for they had like a contract for like a year or two with the NBA.
Yeah.
And so they'd have him on there and he'd just be like, they'd be these really short little segments where he'd just be like interviewing basketball. Like, so your name's Tim Duncan. Does they call you that because you're good at dunking? And he's like, no, that's just my given name. Oh, right. Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty funny.
And it's an interesting thing too. Like the few clips that I watched of the Ali G show, it's very much like a class thing. It's not about race. It's amongst like people in the UK. It's just class.
Yeah.
Like upper class versus like scumbag roadmen like Ali G.
Yeah, ratchet people.
Yeah, ratchet people. Yeah. And then they're just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's well, you got to understand too that like at the risk of sounding like a little bit of an SJW, because there is not as much
diversity.
No. So slavery and Jim Crow and all that does play into the current state of affairs of minorities more in this country than in other countries.
Yeah.
So it's not as pronounced in this country that like hood ass like neighborhoods are all predominantly black. I mean, you have more black people up and down the socioeconomic spectrum in England and Britain in general than you do here. And so I think that's part of the reason they don't view things like that.
Yeah.
Which is the accurate way to view it. But yeah, so but that's he's did you ever see Bruno, the follow-up to Borat?
No, I didn't see that one. It didn't seem as interesting.
It's not as interesting, but it definitely has some shock value to it. Especially I saw it in a theater. And there's this scene spoiler alert, but there's this scene where literally the whole screen is just Sacha Baron Cohen's penis. And it's dancing around like this. And then like it's like dancing around like to like some sort of music. And then it stops and it looks at you like a snake and the pee hole goes, Bruno!
Oh, wow.
It's like super like holy fuck, dude. It was like, where do I go from Borat? I'm just gonna fucking do this ridiculous thing. It's not nearly as funny, but it is more shocking.
I did like some of the segments. I didn't watch the whole thing of like Who Is America, but it, from what I saw, is pretty fucking funny.
Just that character is like sells it. Like the guy, the guy that
NPR guy.
Yeah, the guy that's just like they're just token, crunchy, like white middle class. Like
when they showed the two pictures of the mosque, like picture one or picture two. It's like a crazier version of a mosque.
Here's picture one. And here's picture two. I'm hearing a lot of support for picture one.
Yeah.
No, we don't want either of them.
We want it.
No,
we're not saying you're racist. No, I'm saying I'm racist.
Saying it. It's like, whoa, damn, really? Those people do exist, apparently. It's just like, I'm saying it. It's like, fuck, dude. That's
And it's like, the taxpayers of the city will not have to pay for this mosque. It's coming from whatever prince, the Clinton Foundation. Of course it came from there.
Of course they're involved.
Some of that, yeah. So watching that's pretty cool. And that's about it for me. Just a lot of working.
Trying to earn, son.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Got all these bills to pay, motherfucker. I'm broke, motherfucker. All this dental work and shit.
So you have no dental insurance?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't have dental insurance. So it's like
$50 a month.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
what happened is so what happened is I had dental insurance when it was on my wife's insurance.
My wife.
And then my wife. And then it lapsed. And I just fucking didn't care.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, that's a hassle. Your fucking dental insurance. And then when I get dental insurance, I might as well get medical insurance. And then I'm out like fucking like hundreds of dollars a month. And I'm like, I don't have hundreds of dollars a month to spare. I will say that the hygienist seemed particularly proud of herself that she managed to because like the back of my teeth in the front are like all stained from smoking cigars. And she seemed particularly proud that she got them clean. She was like, look at the before and after. And I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of tar up there. I smoke. And
Walks like, fucking piece of shit. I shouldn't have done a good job.
well, the thing is, too, is I got all stuff in my fucking mouth, And she's like talking.
Fucking thankless job. Thanks.
She's talking to me about cigars. Like, tell her I work at a cigar shop, right? And trying to give her the relevant information. Like, yeah, it's probably a fucking shit show in there because fucking I don't go to the dentist and fucking whatever. And so then I just have to listen to her talk at me with this undertone that she doesn't approve of cigars, smoking in general. It's like, I gotta fucking sit here and listen to this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, just obnoxious. But she was like all really proud that like, she's like, look, I got them all clean. I'm like, yeah, cool, good. Isn't that what you do here? Is clean teeth? Like,
it's like if you hired like a house cleaner, like, look how clean it is. Like, yeah, that's what I paid you for.
yeah. Here's the thing: is I cleaned the bathroom. It's like, yeah, no shit, you cleaned the bathroom. Cashed my fucking check, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So there's that. Yeah, that was fun. But so yeah, maybe I should start working. Maybe I should get another job.
Yeah.
Fourth job.
Fucking rat race, dude. I've been watching like this video, like this machinist guy. He like moved his shop from California to Texas, and he's all fucking bragging about it. I was like, fucking thanks, bro. I don't need to hear this shit. Bought a mansion, McMansion, this bitch. Look at this, like so cheap here. Look at this shit, so cheap.
Texas is cheap.
Yeah, it is cheap. It's all Joe Rogan's fault.
Yeah, to be fair, Austin was trending up as the hipster capital of the country for the last 2 or 3 years, as it is.
He just put the pin to it. Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of Joe Rogan, listen to JRE with Alex Jones and Tim Dillon on it. And then I knew from the get that Alex Jones is pretty fucking crazy, but he's a funny dude.
He's not pretty crazy. It's like if you look up crazy in the dictionary, there's a picture of fucking Alex Jones.
Gay frogs.
Yeah. Oh, that book I got, by the way, it's kind of funny. It was there's like so one of the entries is eccentric, and the definition is just weird. And there's a little picture that says eccentric Al Yankovic, and it's got Weird Al. It's like, that's fucking good.
That's pretty good.
Eccentric Al Yankovic. Like, yeah.
So yeah, that was a good podcast. It was pretty entertaining. It was just him slowly getting wasted and just saying, "I'm just drinking my apple juice.
Just drinking apple juice.
Just drink apple. Joe, I'm just here sipping my apple juice."
Sure, man. He's like one of those guys though that you just sit there and you just kind of like just push his buttons and watch him go. It's like a wind-up toy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's fucking. Hey, here's the thing about this.
And it just seems like every time, like, his show is, like, all serious or whatever, and he's just there to have a good time when he's over on Joe's show. Mm-hmm. He just gets blasted and just wants to, like, wrestle people.
Yeah.
He just, why don't you choke me out? Just choke me out right now.
Might take you up on that, Alex Jones. Yeah. But yeah, I bet you'd be fun to have at a party.
Well, he'd be a lot. Wouldn't shut him up.
Here's the thing, though, is it makes me wonder if, like, that's like what his job is so much that like maybe he would just be interested in talking about sports and whiskey and you know what I mean, like porn stars probably aren't big whores in their personal lives. They just get enough of that when they're on set. They're just like hang out and chill. Probably not trying to like suck every dick in the room. Like, like
oh man.
Okay, whatever. So yeah, and it's probably difficult for him to like him and Alex Jones interacting with someone that doesn't give a fuck is probably fun for him because like he either has to be on or he has to be interacting with people that are like fans of Alex Jones, right?
Yeah.
Like how frequently do you think that Sasha Grey runs into somebody at a bar and they're like, "Hey, how's it going? Oh, you're Sasha Grey," and she's like, "Yeah, so
how's that DJing doing?
Yeah, what are you doing in town?" Like or whatever. Just like talk to her like a normal person. She's probably into it. She's like, "Oh, cool. Hey, what's up?" Like it's not like, "Oh my god!" Like, "Hey, can you put this banana down your throat?" Like,
just put the whole thing in there.
Yeah, here. God, yeah, I just love you. You're such a whore. Like, okay, cool. Thanks, pal.
Yeah, that's like I guess that's like the kind of a secret trick to like engage like really famous people, is not talk about what they do. It seems like.
Well, that's the thing is I generally speaking, like I don't really want to talk about the things that famous people do because I mean, with a few exceptions.
Remember the time you were in the Beatles?
Yeah, I would. I'm trying to think if there's got to be some people that I would just fucking probably maybe if I ever were like some fucking effing Rays or something, I probably couldn't help but nerd out.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Or probably Dave Sim.
Dave Sim.
He's the creator of Cerebus.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like I'd be aware of that instinct and probably try to curb it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my uncle with the Sergeant Slaughter interlude.
Uh-huh.
Fucking Sergeant Slaughter.
I forgot. Was he really into it? Like when he was talking to him?
No, he was just like,
Oh, he wanted to nerd out.
He was like, yeah, I wanted to kind of like nerd out at him because, I was a kid in the 80s and, he's my favorite wrestler or whatever, even though I wasn't really into wrestling. But,
How about that old Asian dude? Do you think he's like famous enough where it's not annoying to him when people are like, dude, you were in like fucking Big Trouble in Little China? He's like, yeah, I was.
What old Asian guy? Mako?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Did you talk to him about anything?
I talked to him.
Was he like, yeah, whatever?
No, he seemed interested in talking to me about stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, yeah. I was like, man, you fucking rule, dude.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty cool. It's like, yeah. It's like, so I don't know. I can't really think of anybody I would though.
Arnold?
No, I feel like I wouldn't. I feel like I'd just say thanks.
Uh-huh.
Just thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just thanks, Arnold, for just... It's like that scene at the end of Tombstone.
So you like, if you met Gretzky, you wouldn't be like, hey.
I'd probably ask him if he wanted to smoke a cigar, because he smokes cigars.
Oh, does he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little, like, most famous people smoke cigars, I'm guessing.
Because baller motherfuckers.
It is a baller thing if you think about it. We just waste like $15, $20 on a, in an hour tasting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any difference between that and it's just
having a succulent Chinese meal.
Well, it's different because food you need food to live, but it's not different than anything else. But like you just spend money on something. It's like, yeah, but like you'll go to a bar. What's the difference? It's social
video games.
It's a social activity. It's something you just like. It's an hour's worth of entertainment. You go to a movie, costs you $10, $12. It's like the fucking same.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. You're just sitting there enjoying this thing, and usually the accoutrement to that is company. You talk to other people that also enjoy the same thing, and talking to people is the funnest thing. Funnest.
The funnest? I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, the funnest thing you do with your clothes on, let's say that.
I don't know. Skydiving, shooting guns. Those are pretty fun.
Sure, but you wouldn't want to do those things every day, no?
Hell yeah. No, I don't know.
The video of you skydiving is so fucking funny, by the way. You're just like so quiet, like, hey, what's up?
I'm gonna die.
And the skydive. God, you're so skinny, it's so funny.
And the plane was like duct taped all over the place. Like, what the fuck am I getting? At least I'm attached to a parachute.
Well, yeah, that's the good news, right? It's like it's like you don't have to worry whether the plane can fly all the way to where it has to go. It just
it's like, dude, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a. But yeah, I don't think I would nerd out on anybody. I feel like if I met Arnold, I'd just be like, yeah, thanks, man. Just thanks for being Arnold. Thanks for always being there, Doc.
I'm trying to think if I'd nerd out. I'd just be kind of nervous and just not make myself look like a fool. That's really what I would be more in the front of my mind.
To make yourself look like a fool?
Not look like a fool.
But why would you look like a fool if you're just being yourself?
I don't know. Just get like a mush mouth because you're so nervous. Like,
I don't know. I just can't imagine being nervous just based on somebody that I admire, something they do.
Please like me. I like you. Why don't you like me?
The thing is I think maybe it's probably I just don't.
Yeah, you don't give a shit if they like you.
I don't mistake respecting what someone does for liking them. You know what I mean? Like, I would assume I probably wouldn't like Arnold.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
Yeah, like I don't think I would like him personally, but like the immense amount of respect that I have for just him as a person is like enough. Like that's enough. Like he's a great man. So it's like I don't have to like him.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. So I don't mistake one for the other. So I don't think I would be too concerned with seeking approval of someone that I don't even know. Like if someone doesn't know me, I don't really care if they like me that much.
Yeah. I actually got the most Cain Velasquez. He was a former UFC heavyweight champion. He was at the shop. I guess he was getting his car fixed like next door, and he picked up. Oh no, I think he came by with one of his like teammates to get cigars, and it just caught me off guard. I'm like, what? It's Cain Velasquez. And I was just like thinking, should I go up to him, just shake his hand, and then it's like, well, what would I say to him? And I was just sitting next to the door, and like there's a chair next to the door, right? And he walked by, hey, champ, and he shook his hand. I was like, okay, cool, man, that's cool. I shook his hand.
He knows I know who he is. See, it's funny because like you know, some of the Sharks guys that come in here, Pavelski and War and Burns, and but when Maley brought in Ken Danico, that was like. So, like, I grew up in the 90s, like, when the Devils were the fucking shit. And Ken Danico is, like, the working man's fucking all-star, right? Like, he's just like a hard-nails, like, no-nonsense, like, kind of guy. Just, like, and super likable. And, so, yeah, like, I mean, it was, like, cool. It was like, oh, hey, it's Brent Burns, or it's Pavelski, or whatever. But, like, I was pretty close to nerding out in Danico. It was, like, one of my all-time favorite players.
Hey.
And, yeah, he was like, oh, yeah, so, hey, how's it going, Dave? Like, I was like, and this was really fucking cool.
You know my name?
No, Maley said that.
Oh, okay.
Maley was like, hey, what's up, David? He looks at Danico. He's like, this guy knows a fucking bunch about hockey. And I was like, damn, now. And he's like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? I'm Ken. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was like, you're fucking Ken Danico, dude. He's like, oh, hey, yeah, well, always nice to meet a fan. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, you're the man. Like,
oh, shucks, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. Not like an all-star player, though.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like, he's like a third-line grinder, kind of like Ricci used to play for the Sharks. He's like that style player, but not quite as mean. More of like a, you know, lead by example, kind of like tough guy, can score a key goal, like responsible defensively, just like knows his role on the team, like and just like a really, really good player.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, you know, wow, I'll nerd out with hockey about this guy for a minute. I was pretty happy about that.
You actually got to play and talk about hockey?
For a few minutes. It was right around the time the Stanley Cup was happening.
Okay.
And it was here in San Jose, I think.
Yeah. Oh, those two guys from ESPN showed up too.
Yeah. Steve Levy and Barry Melrose.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, it's Barry Melrose. What the fuck?
No, that's the thing. That's what was weird is he was sitting in the yard. And no one noticed.
Who?
That Barry Melrose was sitting in the yard.
No, look, a good group of people did.
I don't think, like, I asked her, like, I was
like, who the fuck you think is gonna win? Like, I don't know, guys.
Yeah, like, all those people started talking to him, like, but, like, he had sat there for, like, 20 minutes before, like, I was like, that guy looks just like Barry Melrose.
When they walked through the door, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Because, yeah, like, they came in, they hadn't got their cigars yet, and they were sitting on the yard getting, like, situated. And I walked over, I was like, man, anybody tell you look like Barry Melrose? He was like, yeah, all the time. I'm like, you're Barry Melrose, aren't you? He's like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
Yeah, remember when you were in the '93 final with LA? You were coaching Gretzky. Yeah, that was awesome. Remember that? Yeah, and then remember when you coached Tampa Bay for 12 games and they fired you? Remember that?
Not so great.
That was not as cool for you. But good times. Good seeing you. Hey,
nice seeing you. Well, bye.
Other guy, ESPN guy.
Yeah.
But that's my buddy Steve Levy from ESPN. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up?
I wonder if that happens to him all the time. It's like, oh, that guy asks him all the time.
I would imagine that guy is more recognizable, though.
Yeah, he's on TV more.
Because he's just, like, on TV for all sports. Melrose is, like, just a hockey guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, he was like, yeah, and everyone was like, this guy coming to a shop in San Jose and talk about how the Sharks aren't going to win. It was like, well, yeah, he's a hockey guy. Like, he's just being honest with you.
Yeah.
And also, he's right. Like, I don't know what to say. He's right.
Yeah.
They don't have a fucking snowball's chance in hell of beating the Penguins.
I did like the fact that they came here multiple times during the playoffs. Like, they could have gone anywhere else. I'm pretty sure Mission was like everyone would talk about Mission, but they didn't go there.
Well, they were probably closed after they got done with the game.
No, they're here in the afternoon.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I only saw them here a couple times at night.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Yeah, no, it's sports guys, like. But I mean, I'm ignorant to most of them. Like, it's like the whole starting roster of the fucking Warriors could walk through the door and I'd just be like, "Oh, hey, can I help you guys with something?"
There's this one time, I don't know who this dude was from the story. This guy came in, and I was like, this dude looks like an athletic dude. He might be an athlete or something like that, pro athlete, maybe college or something like that." And I was like, "Nah, that's super racist to say that." And people are like, "Oh my god, you see this dude? Yeah." I was like, "Oh, he is an athlete. Okay." He just had an air to him.
Was he black?
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I feel like if I didn't know anything about sports and Bobby walked in somewhere, I probably would be like, "That guy's a pro athlete." Like, he just looks like it. He just fucking carries himself like a pro athlete.
Yeah, he does. But they have like an air to them. Like they're the shit in some reason.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so
because they're used to everyone treating them like they're the shit, and they also have millions of dollars to throw around. So that'll probably make me feel like I was pretty cool too.
Big dick energy.
Big guys and big dicks? I don't know a lot about dicks.
I don't
I'm
either.
learning.
All right. We're reviewing the Tatuaje monster, the Karloff.
The Karloff, yes. I actually didn't light it up because I got another one before I.
Oh.
But I did note some tasting notes on it last time I smoked it.
Is this part of the release of the I thought he stopped doing the monster series.
Well, he did.
And he just made
Karloff, just like Boris, is not a monster.
Oh, okay.
It's just part of the Halloween series.
Ooh.
So now I think it's just the Halloween series, not really a monster
Great.
anymore.
Uh-huh.
So you're just like over it at this point. You're like, fuck, I don't care anymore.
Oh yeah, I was long over a long time ago.
Yeah, I was
what's
too.
the hype? Who cares?
Yeah, but I did really like the last one. The Bride, I thought was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought it was a good one to end it on. There's the fucking Michael, especially. You got a box of those, and they weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
The Michael was not good.
Yeah.
And the Kruger was decent, but there hasn't been a dynamite one since the Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first few early ones were the Mummy and the Frank and the Wolfman were all pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was that was 3 of the first 5 or something. It was they were all really good, and then it was after the Mummy, it was wow. And the Jason was pretty good too. It just tasted like a more amped up Fausto though. But yeah, I don't know. Thoughts?
I like it.
Yeah, to me it does. It really does just taste like the Boris, at least the pudgy Boris.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Boris when it came out. Yeah, I was surprised that wasn't a regular release. I was like, you should have saved this thing.
Yeah, no,
for a regular release.
See that one to me. This one has a little more black pepper throughout.
It's drier too in flavor.
Yeah, up and down the profile. Yeah, it kind of has it has a little richness, but it's kind of it's almost like a dark chocolate, but then it's kind of tempered by
There's a char to it too.
Yeah, I got a lot of cinnamon up front, a little bit of cream, dark chocolate, but then it kind of mellowed out. It didn't. The back half of it wasn't as punchy. But there was I don't know. It had 5 or 6 flavors. Some peanuts and vanilla and dark chocolate and cream and cinnamon. I would say those were the main notes I got off of it. Mostly the back half was more peanut and vanilla heavy, and then that black pepper was just kind of running all the way through it. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's just a more amped up Boris, but I feel it's probably not as nuanced as the Boris is. So I don't know that I like it as much. I'd have to smoke them side by side, but it was good. I mean, for something that's not technically part of the series, fuck, I'd take that over over the Michael, over the Kruger, over the yeah. You really like the Chuck too. I don't really dig that one.
I like the Chuck and the Tiff.
Yeah, the Tiff is really good. I like that one. The Chuck is decent for me. The Jekyll and the Hyde, one of them I really did not like. I think it was whichever one came out second.
I don't remember.
One of it, like, so, but the chuck is kind of like at the top of the ones that are decent. They're good, but it's got that real strong, like kind of like allspice flavor to it. It's just like that real heavy, like allspice flavor to it. It's good, but it's definitely strong too. I think probably that tempered my enjoyment of it. I was like, wasn't like, especially when they released it in the full size, it was like, oh, this is a fucking strong cigar. Like, Jesus. But yeah, it's not as good as the Frank, not as good as the Mummy. I don't think it's as good as the Tiff.
I kind of just checked out after a couple of years with the Monster series. I was like, I don't really care. It's not a regular release, so why should I bother? I'll try it, but
yeah, that's kind of how I mean, I didn't like. I wasn't like,
after the Drac I was burned. I was like, fuck this shit. It's terrible.
Really? Because the original release Mummy to me was fucking dope. Like, but the one that I had that had been sitting since they came, it didn't hold up that well. It didn't get better with age, as you might expect. It just kind of, it's like,
because I kept a couple of the Dracs, and like on the following year, I smoked them. I was like, there's no flavor in this thing. What happened to these things?
you get the fucking. I always
and I got another, and I held on to a couple like leather faces. I was like, smoke those. Like, what is this? Nothing tastes like it. Doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah, I do think that it's kind of a clever thing that the leather face really does have a strong leather note to it.
Yeah, but it just dissipates after a year.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's just like. But I always thought that Pete Johnson was crazy. He was like, "Oh, the Jet Rack is probably my favorite blend," and I was like, "You're wrong. That's fucking terrible." But then that night
How you tell me I'm wrong about what I like?
the night we were watching Westworld, man, and I was like, "Yeah, I gotta smoke something." Got like those 3 Lancero samplers of the monsters or whatever. I was like, "Meh, I want to smoke one of the good ones." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll smoke the Drac. I guess I gotta smoke them eventually." And I smoked it, and I was like, "This is fucking awesome, dude. This is just so good." But then again, it's a cigar that I would imagine.
Am I wrong? No, the children are wrong.
No, it is. Is it possible that I'm wrong? No, it is the children that are wrong. But that one, the Jason, the Frank, those are ones that I would think would age out well. So I bet it was probably like A, it was the Vitola, it was like Lancero, and B, they're like 5 or 6 years old. So they were like from 20s. Or 4 or 5 years old, 2015 or 2016 is when the boxes are stamped. And so it was like Age and Vitola did that. But like when I originally smoked it, like when it first came out, I was like, this is fucking awful. Yeah. It had like this, it had like almost like a like old coffee ground flavor to it. It was fucking really bitter and not good. Like, ugh. Didn't like it. But I don't know. But having one cigar of a few cigars, like you have 3 or 4 of a cigar in like different Vitolas, and one of them is good and the other ones are trash. To me, that's not a good cigar. No. Like I smoked the Pudgy, because you buy the samplers. I bought the Pudgy samplers and the mini samplers, and they all have like the Drac in there, and it's always like the first one I'm going for, because it's like every time I'm like, I gotta get through this one. I think I gotta save that Mummy and that Frank for last. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never really into buying samplers. That's whatever.
I got just the other Tat samplers too, the ones with the Lancero samplers with the Capaguan, the Capaguan Guapo, the El Trumpet, both of the El Trumpetors, the black label, the red label, the brown label, all just in Lanceros. And those, especially because I
wish they made them like in like 5ers of each one. You just buy a box of those instead of having like, are they individual and that's it? You just get
one of each.
Yeah,
there's 10, so it's 2 El Trumpetors, 2 Capaguans, black label, red label, brown label. What else?
Black label? You say black label?
Yeah, black, red, brown, 2 El Trumpetors, 2 Capaguans, and then what are the other ones? I don't remember. Something else by Tatuaje. I can't remember. Anyway.
Avion.
Yeah, maybe there's Avion Reserve in there. But yeah, so it's just like all and the only way you can get them in Lanceros is in the sampler. Yeah. And I don't think that there must just not be a high demand for them, because when you order them from Tatuaje, the 10 count sampler, which you never see in shops, is $95. Yeah. They're fucking $9.50 a piece. Yeah. And it's like, and then I use my like quarterly deal for like at Aloni, I can get like stuff at cost for like once a quarter. So I paid like $4 or $5 a piece for them. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm ordering like 3 of these.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just Lanceros, you know. I don't know. I think that's the only thing that like a samplers that I do is like Lancero samplers because usually they do those as like this cigar doesn't normally come in a Lancero.
Yeah.
And so if you want to get it in a Lancero, you got to get the Lancero sampler. But like if it's just like, oh, all of the, you know, it's a Tatuaje sample and all Toros and it's one of it's like I don't care. I'll just buy them individually. Buy the ones I want, not the ones I don't want. So, but sometimes you know you go like, oh, maybe I want. I don't particularly like this blend. Like the red label, for instance, not my favorite blend of Tatuaje, probably my least favorite, but it does smoke better in Lancero.
Okay.
But the I forget what the white banded El Trumfador is. That's really fucking good in Lancero.
Okay.
Because there's an El Trumfador, it's kind of like toothy looking. Yeah. And it's got like a brown and white label. Like a white label with brown letters on it. And it's like a slightly different blend of the El Trumfador. And I never see it. Like I've seen the regular El Trumfador by itself in the Lanceros, but I've never seen the other one, and the other one is good. It's good.
Good. Real good. This thing kind of just popped in my head, but for the non-cigar smokers out there, and you know a cigar smoker, you have any tips for going to your local brick and mortar shop and trying to figure out when you want to get? If you don't know what, like a customer comes in, is like, I'm getting my boyfriend, dad, or grandpa a cigar. I know he smokes cigars. What are some common questions you would ask this person?
I have an order, actually. I get this so frequently that like I start off by asking them if they know anything about the smoking preferences of the smoker. You know, if he likes Honduran, Dominican, or Nicaraguan tobacco. Usually they say no.
Yes.
But every now and again they'll be like, yeah, he likes Dominicans. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
And so then I go, okay, do we want something light, medium, or full in flavor? And if they don't know what that means, then I use the food analogy, right? Peanuts are mild flavor. Chocolate cake is full flavor, right? Very rich, but very prominent flavors. I go, okay. And then, or I might say, like, which of these flavor profiles thing that you think you would like? Chocolate, espresso, earth, leather, cedar, cream, cinnamon, pepper, you know, just list a bunch of flavor profiles. And then based on that, you can tell, like, okay, so maybe you want something like medium to full, or you want something light to medium, right? Because certain flavor profiles are typically associated with certain darkness of cigars, right? Like if something's got a kiwi note, it's probably light to medium. If something has like a dark berry note, it's probably medium to full. So that's where I start. And then I usually just say, like, what are we looking at for smoke time? How long of a smoke? 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes to an hour, hour and a half plus. And then that just kind of narrows it down. And then I just get something that I like. Yeah. That's in, or actually usually the last question will be, do we have a price range we're trying to keep it under per cigar?
Yeah. That's usually my second question.
Yeah. Price range we're trying to keep it under. So it's like, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, just under $20 a stick. And you go, that's a lot of options. Yeah. So that's good.
But well, I don't know. You got any cigars for like $4?
Here's the thing, though, is generally speaking, if they're buying something for a gift, they don't know how much cigars cost, so they have a cost in mind that they're going to spend. Yeah. And so they don't, you know, even if the smoker in question is a $12 to $15 a stick smoker, they're going to get them something $20, $25 a stick probably. And so that's just like, okay, let's go down the list and we'll just, here are these things that I like.
Do you want a bunch of them? Do you just want one cigar?
Right. Do you have an amount that you're trying to spend, or do you have an amount of cigars you're trying to get, or both? Yeah. If you're just like, I'm going to spend $100, I'll just say, do you want
Cohiba Spectre?
Do you want 8 cigars, or do you want 3 really good cigars? So that's a different question. And so, but yeah, I think the biggest thing that I would say to people is,
do's and don'ts.
Don't be afraid to like admit how little you know, and don't think that means that you don't have a right to be there just because you don't know anything. Yeah.
In general, people like us are trying to be helpful, right? We want to get something good for the recipient of the gift. Yeah. We're not there to embarrass you or anything like that. Questions are fine. Yeah. It's just Yeah.
And it's always
Don't
nice
be
to be
afraid to
trusted too, but like if it's just a one-to-one thing, if someone doesn't know anything and they're not buying for someone else, and they just say like, well, what do you like? And you go like this, 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 and this, and they're like, great, I'll get those.
Yeah.
Good to be trusted. But if it's for someone else, you don't know what their smoking preferences are.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like you should just trust me. They might have completely different tastes to me.
Yeah.
So I'm here to help you get what they want. So that, and I always end every transaction with, come back and let me know how I did.
Yeah, I always do that. Yeah.
Right. Let me know how I did. If I'm way off base, and we'll figure it out next time. Right? We'll just go like this. I like this one. I didn't like this one, or whatever.
There's some people that are just so skeptical about your picks. It's like, I don't know. It's like, dude, seriously? Like, we want your returning business back. I'm not just selling something because we have a quota for it. Like,
right. I get some sort of commission on it or some shit.
Yeah. Like people straight up. Like I had a customer probably a week ago. Was like, what do you think about Cohiba? I was like, pass. Don't bother. You can get tons of stuff. You can get 5 great cigars for the price of one Cohiba.
Yeah.
Don't even bother.
I told someone that I hated it today.
Yeah.
Like he was like, you've ever smoked these Cohibas or Red Dot Tubos? I'm like, I have. And he was like, what do you think of them? I'm like, well, if I'm being earnest with you, I hate them.
Yeah.
Like I hate them. Like I just wouldn't smoke it if you gave it to me for free. And I was like, plus they're like $36 a pop or something. I could recommend you 2 cigars that would both be better and will be twice the smoke time as that cigar. And then he grabs it. He's like,
The Cohiba?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna try it out anyway. And I even let him know. I'm like, I respect that. Like, make your own mind up.
Yeah.
Decide what you like and what you don't like. But if you want my honest opinion, like I think it's
You asked it.
terrible cigar. And
I've seen people go to the people that are working there. It's like, oh my god, why are you buying that? I was like, what the fuck is your problem, dude?
Yeah.
Just chill out. That's their money.
Yeah. Why do you care?
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't care what you want to smoke. People ask my opinions every day. Somebody asked my opinion of the Amazon basin today. Told them what I thought. Bought it anyway. And I even placed caveats on it. I'm like, okay, look, here's the thing. It's like one of those cigars like the Aladino. Everyone seems to really like it, and I'm in the minority, but I just can't stand it. Like I just don't get why. And sometimes people will ask follow-ups. Oh, what do you like about it? I'll tell them a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, good. Yeah, make your own mind up, man. But like, that's how I feel. And sometimes people will just be like I love customers that are just like, what do you like? And I'm like, I like this, and they're just like, they don't care how much it is. Like, I'm gonna get that.
Oh
thing.
yeah.
It's like
that was an awesome cigar. It's like, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like nice to be trusted. So yeah, don't think that you justifying what it is you like. Don't think that you have to in any way signify to the person selling you cigars that you know something about something.
Yeah, don't fake it.
Yeah, like but even if you're not faking it, like, the likelihood that I care about what your preferences are, unless you want my recommendation, like based on certain stuff, and most people will be pretty upfront about that. It's they'll be like, I like, I smoke Liga a lot, and I really like that. I'm looking for something in the same ballpark. You got any recommendations? And then you go, okay, so this is what you like. Knowing what you like, I can map out something that you might like. And sometimes people get turned on to new brands that way. It's like some people come in and be like, oh yeah, I really like My Father, and like da-da-da-da. You ever smoke Illusion? No, I've never heard of it. It's like, oh, if you like My Father, you probably like Illusion. They're in the same grouping of things. Like people like one, they almost always like the other. And so, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. Let's get turned on to new stuff in that way. But yeah, I would say I'm trying to think of like a big don't, like, yeah, but definitely be like, I always think of that guy that was the Cuban cigar guy. I told you that story, didn't I?
No.
He comes in, he's in the humidor, he's like, hey man, like, so it was like, I was looking for a recommendation. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll help you out with that. And he goes, yeah, so I really want something like really kind of Cuban-esque, really big ring gauge, really dark. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can help you find something like that. I'm like, but I gotta tell you, it's not what comes to mind when I think of a Cuban flavor profile. And like, there's no one else in the humidor, and he just kind of leans over and he's like, hey man, I gotta tell you, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I was like, don't worry, we're gonna help you out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, love this guy already.
Yeah.
Like, he's awesome. Like, I gotta tell you, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's like awesome.
And also too, if you're branding the cigars, and let's say you had a Cuban, it's not impressive to me. It's like, I just had a Monte Cristo. It was the best cigar I've ever had. Try to sell me something.
Try to sell me something.
Like, all right, whatever. You came here.
I only smoke Cubans. It's like, okay, well, you have terrible taste then.
I like McDonald's.
Yeah, it's McDonald's makes the best cheeseburger because they make the most cheeseburgers.
Uh-huh.
It's yeah. It's like I would say that's the thing that probably shocks people the most. Is most people will have some magnanimity about it, and they'll be like,
"Oh my god, you smoked a Cuban cigar!"
No, they'll just be like, "What's a big deal? Like, why do people like love Cuban cigars so much?" Like, I don't really know anything about
forbidden fruit. That's almost the cachet of having a Cuban cigar is the thing. You know, normies can't get it unless they look for it.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
And that's pretty much what I tell them. I'm like, look, don't get me wrong, Cuba still makes some of the best cigars in the world, but if I don't know anything about a cigar other than where it's from, Cuba, Nicaragua, Dominican, or Honduras, like, I'll take the Nicaraguan all day long, and they're always like, what? Are you serious? Really? And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, if that's all I know, this is from these regions, like, I want the Nicaraguan.
It has a breadth of flavor profiles. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just superior, like, the quality of roll is really good coming out of Nicaragua and Honduras. The tobacco, just, it's widespread in flavor profile. It's not stuck to one thing.
Yeah,
you get anywhere in the gradients of like mild to full.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I think that Honduran tobacco is my least favorite.
Because it's very narrow spectrum.
Yeah, for me, the ranking of breadth goes Nicaraguan, Cuban, Dominican, Honduran. Like, Hondurans just like almost all just taste in a very narrow breadth of flavor profiles. Yeah. And Dominican, it can almost be... Dominican is pretty homogenized too, and the only thing that kind of throws that off is LFD. Because LFD doesn't taste like other Dominicans typically. So you have like one category of Dominicans that like your good Dominicans, Fuente and Davidoff, fall in. And then you're like, LFD is kind of a wild card, doesn't taste like either of those. And it really tastes close. Some of it tastes closer to Nicaraguan tobacco, but it still has some Dominican characteristics. But like, you know, the La Aurora, Caldwell, Fuente, Davidoff all have very similar flavor profiles. I would say that probably Caldwell is the biggest, like, up and down the scale of like mild, medium, full, but like LFD is just fucking homogenized. It's all like, I feel that way about Fuente too. Fuente, within their line, almost everything tastes pretty much the same.
I would agree.
It's just like, it's all got that kind of aromatic core, like that, like, there's a few outliers that have it in different ratios. Like, I like the Casa Cuba a lot, and or La Polina is a good example of that. Like, their stuff is got a little more breadth than LFD, but mostly kind of tastes more similar to Davidoff than anything.
Yeah, I just...
What do you think is a big no-no or a big yes to do?
Yes to all the questions. Just admit you don't know anything, or just know your how much you know about cigars, and then go on from there. And it's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot easier when people come out with just a blank slate. Like, I just want to try a cigar. Just show me something, rather than like, I've had a Romeo and Julieta. You got anything similar to that? I was like, why don't you just get a Romeo?
Yeah, we have those.
So
everybody has those.
Yeah. So.
Well, that I think part of it, like, a lot of it really ties into just don't have a bravado about things. Like, I would say a big don't is don't ask for my recommendation and my help. Chew my ear off for 10 minutes, and then I'll give you a recommendation, and then just act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Or like, just make it clear that you don't even value my opinion. It's like, oh, so this is really more about you just talking to me and showing me that you know so much. Yeah. And it's like, I don't care. Good for you. Yeah. Like, if you know
Are
what
you gonna spend
like,
money here or what?
Yeah, it's just like I don't really have a vested interest in you doing that. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's like, cool, yeah, great, I'm here to sell you stuff, but
Yeah.
but it's not like I make a fucking commission on stuff or anything like that. Like,
Yeah, people act like you make commission. I was like, what commission?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. You're pushing it really hard. I'm like, I
Yeah.
really like the cigar.
It's
I'm
not-
smoking it right now.
It's not like I'm a cigar rep who comes to cover at a cigar shop that I used to work at, and then I secretly tell people that like they should smoke the cigars that I rep for, without telling them that I'm the rep for those cigars. I know a guy like that.
I know people like
He's
that.
kind of an asshole. Fuck that guy.
That's so bad, dude.
That guy's a fucking hot mess of fucking dog shit to begin with. Fuck that guy. Every time I have a fucking interaction with him, I'm just like, fucking leave me alone. Just stop talking. Stop breathing. Just go away. Stop existing near me. Fucking turd. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of our pro tips of the day.
What do you, if you had to rate the Karloff on a, say, increments of a half star, 1/2 star to 5 stars, what do we give it?
Out of 5 stars?
In half-star increments. Half star, 1 star, 1.5 star, 2 stars. You know, so basically on a scale of 10. So, like,
In general?
yeah. What do you think? How many stars?
Kind of want. I'm left wanting more out of the cigar. So I'd probably got 3.5.
That's what I would say.
Yeah,
I would say
it's on the cusp of like it being really, really good. It's solid.
yeah. I would say like for me 3.5. It's a pretty enjoyable cigar.
Yeah, I don't think it. It's one of those things where it has to be a limited series. It could just be a regular cigar. There's nothing special about the cigar,
Yeah.
like in flavor. I think the Boris is a far better cigar.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's worth a try.
Yeah.
You know, if you've never had the Boris, like you're late into the game, you haven't been smoking cigars that long, try this cigar. It's fine. You're gonna have a good hour of smoking it, and the construction is, yeah.
Not typically a problem I have with Tatuaje, but
Yeah.
that was like poking out. So we'll see how the rest.
Yeah,
of
in
it
general,
goes.
the construction of Tatuaje is really good. Draws fine, burns pretty good. I think the shipment that came in for West Coast was a little too young. It was like a little too damp.
Yeah, we got these when they first came out, so they've been setting for probably 2.5, 3 weeks.
Okay, that's why. I just smoked it right off the truck.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah, I smoked one right off the truck and it wasn't great either. But
yeah.
like now that they've rested a little bit, they're better.
yeah. If you have them at your local B&M, grab one.
Yeah, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't get like hyped about it like it's gonna change your life. And but the good news is they're pretty reasonably priced. I mean, they're still in that like under $15 range, which for me, for a limited edition is fine, because if it were a regular production, like I'd reach for them occasionally, change it up. I mean, I'm not reaching for it over the Capaguan or the black label, but or even the brown label, but I smoke a lot of Tatuaje, so it's kind of burned out on all your regular Tatuaje selection. You just kind of like, I'll smoke something else. Like every now and again I do that with my father, because it's like I smoke pretty much the H2K.
You really like the H2K. I'm not really a fan of
I
that
like
one.
the H2K a lot, yeah. The Opulence I like a lot. And then their flagship, My Father, and the Dom Pepin Cuban Classic.
Oh, yeah.
So I smoke a lot of those. So every now and
Cuban
again.
Classic Blue Label.
Oh, just the Dom Pepin Blue Label. The black label is the one called the Cuban Classic.
Yes.
But the blue label is called I think it's just called the Blue Label, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Blue Label is good. I'm a bigger fan of the Cuban Classic, but I like all the DPGs. They're all really good.
Yeah, that's a killer lineup if you think about it.
Yeah, those three.
Yeah. It reaches the whole spectrum, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's just light, medium, full.
Yeah.
Like, just like, here's what a really good light cigar is. Here's what a really good medium cigar is. Here's what a really good full cigar is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I knocked it out of the park with that one.
Yeah, so every now and again, though, I'll reach for like a La Antiquidad, because I hardly ever smoke them, but they're good cigars. let's change it up. That's probably in this category as far as like.
Yeah, it's like a shade of the La Antiquidad. Like it has that kind of similar, kind of familiar profile.
Yeah,
but it's not amped up at all.
But I just mean like as far as like the La Antiquidad's not a standout, but it's like
Yeah, that's one of my go-tos.
You disadvantage, like my father in particular. I disadvantage some cigars because there's other really good cigars in the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I don't smoke the La Antiquidad that much, even though I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't smoke it that much because it's like there's like 3 or 4 or 5 other cigars in the line that are like all like a little bit better. But it's like just for the sake of variety, every now and again I'll reach for a La Antiquidad.
Yeah.
I'll just get one of these rather than smoke the same 4 cigars from my father that
Yeah.
I always smoke. You know, like smoking an MJ12 from Illusion. It's not their best cigar, but it's like there's only so many 88s and Fume de Moors and one-offs and Epernets I can smoke. I get tired of those. Like, yeah, I'll just reach for something different.
Yeah. Actually, I think one of the underrated cigars out of the Don Pepin My Father line would be the Vegas Cubana. I smoked one this morning. I think it's really good.
Yeah. And they're not that expensive. They're like one of their less expensive. I mean, they're not an expensive company to begin with. Those cigars like are $8, $9, $10 in California, so they gotta be like $6 elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a great morning smoke.
Yeah.
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 It doesn't beat out the JJ, but it's definitely a very good cigar.
Yeah, it has more of that kind of like barnyard profile than the JJ does. It doesn't have that kind of like silky like.
It does have that creaminess. Everyone like, oh, is it a creamy cigar? I get that from that cigar. Everything else, I'm like, it's kind of, lighter, brighter tones in the profile. That's about it. Not the creamy texture people proclaim to have cigars have.
Yeah, but it's not like it falls short like of the JJ because the JJ is a more sophisticated,
nuanced.
Yeah, it's more sophisticated. It's got more progression. And the Vegas,
it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, man. And the Vegas Cubano doesn't have that. It hits like 4 or 5 notes, and it just kind of hits them executed well. It's like a good plate of scrambled eggs, right? Like it's just these are really good eggs, but like they just taste like eggs.
Yeah. Check these eggs out, man. Scrambled, try them.
Yeah, and for me, like that reveals some of the making a good cigar, just like good food. When something is just like I always use fucking Cassell's burgers as an example. It's like because I love fucking Cassell's burgers.
Gay for that
I'm
burger.
so fucking gay for that burger, dude. Because it's just like you're eating it, and it's like,
how is this so good?
Yeah, it's just all the
just meat and bread with some cheese on it.
But it is. It's just like every little element is on point.
Yeah.
And when you don't have something that's really sophisticated, like I mean, I think we've all smoked cigars where it's like. You light it up and you're like, oh, this is fucking good. And then like halfway through, you're like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's changing. It's different. And then like you get to a point where you're like, I'm not even sure how I feel about this anymore. It's like, it's almost like too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like, but if you just have like a few things going on and you just kind of execute them really well throughout, it's like, that's almost like a higher level of like craftsmanship because it's just like, there's nowhere to hide. You just have a few things going on. And like when it does that well, you're like, it gives you confidence that they can do things that are more sophisticated and like are going to be good and not maybe throw you for a loop or whatever.
Yeah, that's why you want to check this. Like saying there's like making the most basic thing very well, like someone cooking scrambled eggs, like French style. If you could do that, you might have pretty good technique cooking everything else.
No, you'd be wrong about that. I can't cook anything else well, but I am a master at cooking fucking eggs just because I've been doing it for so fucking long. Like, I can cook scrambled eggs. Like if you were going on my scrambled egg skills, you'd be like, this guy's a chef. But like,
it's like a Michelin star chef here.
Yeah, but then I'd cook you something else, and you'd be like, it's fine. Like, whatever. It's fine.
Well, I like that idea of like Robert Rodriguez. He was saying that like cook a couple things very well instead of everything else mediocre. Because people are going to say, hey, could you bring that dish you made that one time?
Yeah, doesn't he say that in the Sin City, how to make your own little burritos?
Yeah. Breakfast tacos and all that other stuff. I was like, yeah, it is right. You should make a couple things really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, for me, that's eggs. I can make eggs really well. And like I get really pissed when I don't make really good eggs. Like, when they just come out fine. Like especially if I make fried eggs and I like maybe break one of the yolks or something or like a little too dumb. fucking like mad, like it's like this is like the only thing I know how to cook well. I fucked it up. But yeah.
But
Anyway,
little sidetrack since it's Halloween. We didn't bring it up in the other part of the podcast, but spooky time. Favorite horror movies?
Yeah, why don't we talk about horror movies since it's Halloween? So you lead this segment. There you go.
Very. I don't know.
Lead it off with like so.
Well, in general, for me, I'm not I'll watch a horror movie, but it's not a genre. I'm like, oh, is that new horror movie that's out? Or like, nah, I'm just like,
yeah, neither am I. That's why I feel like your opinion is more valid than my opinion because you don't really like horror movies. So you're judging it on the merits of a movie, and that's for me. Any movie being done well, it's just like comedies, like I don't judge a comedy by how funny it is. like that counts for something, it counts for a lot, but I judge it like how well of a movie is it made, and is it funny on top of that. And same thing with a horror movie. Like a well-made horror movie has the same components as a well-made anything else movie. And some people are just, it's like when somebody's just a whore for a certain genre, then it's hard to take their opinion. Like if someone's just a sci-fi geek, then they just like most things sci-fi. So it's like you don't really have a baseline for like whether it's a good movie or whether they just like sci-fi. It's like people with Harry Potter shit. Or there's anything Harry Potter related.
Yeah.
Or Lord of the Rings related.
Yeah.
They're fucking into it. Star Wars related.
Yeah, they need a little bit of like the fanfare and like it's a great movie. It's one of the best movies. Trust me, I know Harry Potter movies.
Yeah. A better example is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars is the best example because it's like and it's gotten to be so much that it's like I'm just generally like I didn't watch Mandalorian until I was like fucking halfway through the first season. That's a single episode. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Fucking Star Wars shit.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
So good though.
It's really good.
It's really fucking good.
Right, because as it turns out, the components of a good show are the components of a good show.
Yeah.
And
when it sticks to the idea of it's a genre show, then it like fires on all cylinders almost. They're not bogged down by lore or fanfares. Like tell a good story in that genre and execute it well. And it works out pretty well.
Yeah, that's why I
the
think
backdrop is Star Wars, but the real storytelling is just adventuring.
Yeah.
Or,
it's
basically a spaghetti western or western.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason that I like we're starting to see like Taika Waititi is a good example of this. Like he's just a good filmmaker. Any film, or I feel the same way about that novelist that I like, Kazuo Ishiguro. I don't think you can give that guy any fucking genre and he'll write the fuck out of it because he's just so good.
Yeah,
like he's just a great writer, and it's like he will not be hampered by the genre. He will choose it as a backdrop, like you would choose an era for a movie to be set in or a city for a movie to be set in. It's just like it's just where it happens to take place, but like all the components of good characterization, good plot art, good cinematography or whatever are all the same in anything. So I feel like your opinion is probably a little more valid, and we're getting some directors that like Taika Waititi or Ari Aster is like his first two films are fucking like if that's what that guy does with a horror genre, it's like if he just sticks to horror, like fine. Like, just keep making movies like that are good. But he said, actually, his next movie is going to be a comedy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A 4-hour comedy. That turned me off a little bit.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, you're a little too big for your britches at this point. Like,
I'll show you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so what are some that stick? Like, let's try to keep it...
some of the classics, some of the new stuff.
Yeah, I would say, are there any horror movies that you've gone back to repeatedly?
Not really. It's one of those like one and done type of things for me with horror movies. That I do kind of think about. The most recent one would be Midsummer. That one's an excellent movie. We talked about it in this podcast.
Oh yeah, we did.
I always think about that movie once in a while. Not always. I always think about it once in a while. And I guess some of those movies that kind of play on those horror tropes, like Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods is a great movie.
An excellent movie.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Some of the weird indie movies like Paranormal Activities was an interesting film for what it was.
Yeah, the first one I thought was pretty decent. Actually,
Yeah.
the first couple are pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
The
interesting.
fucking third one, it blew my fucking mind.
Oh, like just because of the way they like with the
They
timeline.
they was like, what the fuck? And I was like,
I was just actually just gonna say that is
Yeah.
like I think that one of the more clever things they do is the time elements in
Yeah.
that movie. It's like it's
that was crazy.
yeah, it's a.
I wasn't expecting that. It caught me off guard. So, and I was like dumbfounded. I was like, what did they just do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I wasn't expecting it from that movie. Watching it,
yeah, but I will say though that like a second viewing of those movies is like so much of Blair Witch Syndrome, which is just like so much of nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I get like the need to build suspense and the need to build, but it's just like so much of like the movie is just nothing happening.
Yeah.
And it's just like fuck, dude. Like, give me something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can only build suspense for so long before I need some sort of release from it. It's like.
Yeah, because you're in the two modes of with horror films, especially like if you get like movies like Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is not really a horror movie; it's more of a thriller.
I was actually just thinking about that last night. I was like, I wonder if that fits in the category. Because I was trying to think like what would be my top 5 horror movies, and I was like, it certainly would be on the list if it counts as horror. It does have a paranormal aspect to it.
Yeah, but it's a horror movie though.
Well, because the primary focus of the film is not to scare you.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, by the end of the movie, you probably have the feels a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that that's part of the draw of that movie and the gravity is that is in particular the scene at the end where he's talking to his mom in the car about her mom, and like it's like a really powerful scene. Like it's in, like so the movie gives you more of the feels than it does like terrify you and leave you feeling like hollow and like depleted at the end like some horror movies do.
And so movies like that, like The Sixth Sense, where you're kind of there's some sort of a reward for having a second viewing. Like, how did it play out, knowing what you know now?
Yeah.
Same thing with Shutter Island.
Oh yeah, Shutter Island's great.
I don't think that's a horror movie; it's more of a thriller than anything else.
Yep.
But seeing that performance from Mark Ruffalo was so good.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo is really good in that movie. Like, and you don't appreciate it time around knowing where it's going. And it's like because you get caught up in the drama and the suspense of the film, which is really well done. And Leo has so much gravity in that film. Like his character you're just like a black hole. You're just fucking drawn to how much gravity he has.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it's like what's particularly impressive about that is like Mark Ruffalo is not without some like pull. Like as an actor, and then you throw in Ben Kingsley and Max von Sydow are both in that movie too, and Leo is just like this blinding light of like just like emotional tension, you know, and Michelle Williams is in it too, and so it's like you have all these actors in it, and it's like he's just phenomenally good, and then it's like you really realize like you watch the second viewing, and you're like fucking Mark Ruffalo's fucking dope as shit in this movie too.
Yeah, he has some chops. Yeah.
It's a really good performance. But yeah, it's kind of like it's one of those movies like on a second viewing, like Fight Club, you notice more. I don't think I appreciate the performances more in Fight Club a second time around, but you notice all these little Easter eggs in the film. Yeah, that kind of are enriched by a second viewing. And so it's not. But yeah, that doesn't. I think of a horror movie has to have some sort of supernatural element to it. Otherwise, I categorize it as like a thriller.
Not like a murder type of thing, like a dude's out there to murder you.
Yeah, I don't know that I would consider like Seven or Psycho or
not a horror movie.
I wouldn't consider them horror movies.
What's that movie with De Niro with killing his family? Forgot. Yeah.
Cape Fear?
Yeah.
Well, it's not his family, but yeah.
Yeah, killing a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
more of a thriller for you?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, he doesn't actually kill anybody in that movie.
Yeah. He's trying to kill people.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say thriller. I wouldn't. If it doesn't have supernatural element for me, it's not. I don't think of it being typically like a horror. You know, it's got to have like ghosts and goblins and demons and shit like that. For me. That's a crisp line.
I'm trying to. It's not a movie I've seen, but with those like hillbillies, like psycho hillbillies.
The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, that's not a horror movie.
Yeah, there's some ambiguity about whether they're like just inbred or they're like some sort of mutants or something though. So I think that's, or yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, definitely a horror movie. But I guess it just kind of like, to me, like those are slasher movies. Slasher movie is almost like a subgenre of horror, but doesn't need to have a supernatural element because, like the first, I would say if I were making a list,
First Friday the 13th,
the first Halloween, Halloween and Halloween 2 together is like one movie because they really should be, but that's the benchmark for a slasher movie, and it's independent of that, it's just a well done movie. There's lots of things in that movie that are so iconic that they're just tropes now. Plenty of things, camera techniques, the whole last girl trope, like arguably comes from that movie. And so there's just like all these things that they just seem kind of like hackneyed and tropey now. But like it set the bar for all those films. And so yeah, that doesn't have a supernatural because they don't really set up Michael Myers as being a supernatural thing until the fourth and fifth movies.
Yeah.
And that's when it really shits the bed. It's terrible, but generally, as a general rule, like it's, suspense thriller, especially like Cape Fear. Like if no one is killed, how can you really call it a horror movie? Like no one is murdered or like it's
fear of being murdered,
right? But it's more psychological, and if it's more psychological, then it is a manifestation of.
Yeah, I've even heard some people say like Silence of the Lambs is kind of a horror film.
Yeah, I would consider that.
It's more of a thriller. Yeah, suspense thriller.
Especially because if you look at Silence of the Lambs, or Psycho for that matter, the narrative drive is some other motivation that the character has. Right? Like, it's solving the crime. Right? And the crime is the catalyst to it, but it's not the engine, like in a slasher movie. It's like the killings are the engine that drives the plot. Or
Scream, not a horror movie.
Yeah, it's tough. Scream is pretty good.
Yeah.
And also is an homage to horror movies.
Yeah.
As a general rule. I don't think it cracks like the greatest.
No, it was definitely influential for that time. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's influential and both a reflection of everything that came before it. That's why Cabin in the Woods is so good. It's
good.
It's both a love letter to horror movies and also like this, like we're getting lazy. This is what a good horror movie can be.
Yeah.
And like and that message seems received, right? Like in Midsommar, like It Follows. I'm a big fan of It Follows, and there's been some like notably good horror movies since Cabin in the Woods, and so it's like almost like that message was somewhat received by the people that make movies. But it's like if you're part of the problem is horror is not a genre that's taken very seriously. So if you're like a director if you're a Denis Villeneuve or someone, you don't focus your talents into a film like that. You focus it into something that's like art house Oscar bait shit. I mean, I don't think he does actually. It's part of the reason I really like him, but you don't get somebody of like the caliber of director like Ari Aster that decides they're going to do horror movies. And or what's his name? Jordan Peele. Yeah,
it was great. I don't think you liked it as much as I did, but I thought it was a really good movie.
I thought it was good, not great.
I
mean, people talked about it like it was like I thought Hereditary was a far superior film.
Never saw it.
It's Ari Aster's first movie. I thought it was a far superior movie to Get Out, and I didn't see Us, and partly it was because, like, I feel like he dangerously toes the line of being too woke for me. And it's like, and I could just see like the trailers, and I watched like a video essay about Us, and like I feel like it's just going to be dangerously woke, and it's a shame.
What's the real horror film?
But
you're so scared of watching it. You can't even watch it.
But like, yeah, Midsommar is one of those movies that rewards you for second viewing.
Yeah,
big time. There's
not supernatural either.
Yeah, but
it's more of like a cult than anything else.
Yeah, but so many visual clues in that film about like where it's heading and what it all means. And it's like, man, it's just like, and to me, it's a rough
movie to watch too. So I'm like, I would like to watch it again, but it's like I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me to watch it.
To be fair though, man, it's like one of those movies that verges on 3 hours, but it doesn't feel that long.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel that long
Yeah.
at all. Like it's really, really. But yeah, just directors of that ilk don't typically foray into the horror genre. So it's like while I do think that Jordan Peele is like, I think he's gonna get increasingly woke. That's part of the reason. Like I watched Get Out, it was pretty good, but I feel like he's gonna get increasingly woke. Like that's his kind of trajectory, and like it's like okay.
Del Toro just fucking wrecked you, huh?
Yeah, fuck Del Toro.
Hurt my feelings, man.
Although if you want to wreck for a pseudo horror movie that is like pre-woke, I almost said Benicio del Toro, Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
Watch The Devil's Backbone. Devil's Backbone is like a fucking A+ like horror movie.
Okay, yeah, I've heard people talk about that.
It's fantastically good. It's at least as good as Pan's Labyrinth, and I'm assuming you like that movie because everyone likes that movie. It's really really good.
I know it's kind of boring.
Kind of boring, but
there's no guns. There are not enough guns actually.
Yeah. But there's like, but yeah, just directors just don't gravitate toward that. So, but yeah, a supernatural spin to it. Then yeah, Midsommar is excluded. So what are some of the heavy hitters for you?
Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the genre. Like the most recent ones that stand out is Midsommar that just sticks out in my mind right now.
Yeah, I would say that's a horror
The Thing.
movie.
That's definitely up there.
Yeah, that makes this. I was like, I don't really get that movie. It's okay. I'm like, man, I fucking love that movie. It's one of the only remakes that's better than the original.
Yeah, it's funny. People are like, that's the original. Like, no, it's a remake.
It might as well be though.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. Alien.
Yeah, yeah. It's that straddles the line between it's a sci-fi but a horror.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tired of having this argument with people, so I'm just gonna say yes. I feel like you're just pushing my buttons there. You're just trying to provoke me into going on a rant. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it. Fine. Everyone. Alien is also sci-fi. I'm wrong. It's fine. See, for me, the grand poobah of horror movies, and I don't even think it's close, is The Shining.
I never saw it.
I think The Shining is unequivocally the best horror movie. I don't even think it's close. It's just so layered and terrifying on multiple levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the Aliens just plays as a straightforward monster movie. The same thing with The Thing. Really, it's a straightforward monster movie. It's good. A little sprinkling of paranoia. It's good. It's moody.
I'm trying to think. Some of the, I didn't see The Ring, but The House. It was interesting to watch because it was
The House or House?
I think it was The House. It's like an American remake of the Japanese film where there's a ghost in a house. That's basically it. Because that's one of the during the time, that was the only time I really remember having a bunch of friends let's go watch this movie. And we did, and it was yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, The Ring I liked. I thought The Ring was actually pretty decent. I might watch that when I go home with the old lady tonight. Trying to debate because we've seen most of the decent heavy hitter horror movies, and The Exorcist I think is probably a pretty big contender for The Shining's place. The Exorcist is a really good movie. But I could be largely biased because it's got Max von Sydow in it. I love him in everything. So if he's in it, I'll just watch it. It could be a rom-com. If he's in it, Max von Sydow, I'm gonna fucking watch that.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens was pretty good up until they killed him.
Oh, I was mad about that. I told you about that shit, didn't
I?
It's the first fucking scene. I'm fucking Max von Sydow was in this?
Holy
yes.
shit.
This movie's gonna be, what? Oh.
I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
It's yeah, I was fucking mad. I was fuck that. But there's a long history of characters that I really like getting killed off and things. So that's Tyrion Lannister did not die in Game of Thrones, and that might be the only exception to that rule.
Yeah, who's the priest that they killed off in one episode?
Oh, the guy that plays it's played
Swearinger?
by Swearinger. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll just introduce a character with a lot of gravity and a lot of like, you know, can really make the most of it. Like every iota of moment and fucking kill him has gravity. It's like, yeah.
Mance Raider.
Yeah.
He had a couple parts or a couple episodes he was in.
Yeah. But yeah, it was amazing to me how long it took me to get hip to the fact that they do that, though.
Oh.
That they, like, deliberately, like, we want to kill a character off and we want it to have gravity, so let's get some really good actor and write this character as richly as possible for, like, 2 episodes. And
Well,
I guess McConaughey in True Detective does not die either.
Yeah. And surprisingly enough, with spoiler alert for Westworld.
Spoiler. Turn off now if you like Westworld.
Yeah. They didn't kill off, what's his face?
Oh, yeah, old what's-his-face?
Yeah.
Jesse?
No, the old... Why am I forgetting his name now?
Bernard?
No, the Hannibal.
Anthony Hopkins.
I think Hopkins.
What do you mean they didn't kill him off? Sure they did.
Well, they brought him back for season 2. He's there.
Like, for season 2. I thought you were talking a spoiler for season 3.
No, I'm just saying in general, like, if no one watched, like, Westworld, you know, like, oh, I like Anthony Hopkins. It's pretty cool. Oh, they kill him? He's fucked up. But he comes back.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a one and done. It was like, launch the series, and we'll see you later. Cash that check. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a...
5 episodes.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a Ned Stark thing. It's like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, so did I, actually.
Yeah.
But
That's why I was so hyped when I saw it. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. But yeah, over the arc of that series, though, it's like, it really, you just get drawn to, like, to Evan Rachel Wood. Like, she's so fucking good in that series.
Really good.
She's so good.
Yeah,
Like,
Bernard, great.
Yeah, everybody's good. But, like, she in particular is, like, that, her run on that show is just, like, she could do whatever she wants now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a showcase of talent. Like,
and it's interesting, she hasn't picked up any other roles other than that. She's just, like, solely focused on that role, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, it's like an audition for, like, being, like, she's in her 30s now. And so it's like, I'm a serious actress. And, like, I've been struggling in fucking obscurity for 20 years because she's a child actor.
Yeah, what was she in?
Just a lot of nothing.
Oh,
like, a lot of just fucking Mickey Mouse shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen her in a few things where she was good and generally speaking, but I had no idea she was such a good actor until I saw her in that show. I'm like, wow, okay, you're good. You get it. Oh, speaking of movies that are maybe kind of horror movies, but not, I watched The Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah.
The new HBO one.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Pretty good. There was some, I think I might have mentioned this already, there's some glaring flaws in it, and they're made all the more disappointing by the fact that you're acutely aware of how capable the filmmaker is.
Wow.
And then they make some kind of really elementary, stupid mistakes. Where you're like, that's really not...
His clothes are invisible, too?
And
an invisible plane? What?
Yeah, an invisible plane? But yeah, so I would give it... I give it a solid watch. It's worth watching for no other reason other than...
it's no Hollow Man, but...
crazy Scientologist bitch. Her performance.
Scientology?
Elizabeth Moss.
Oh. I didn't know she was in Scientology.
Oh, she's deep into Scientology.
She has all the things.
She's a batshit crazy fucking Scientologist, but a fantastic actress. Apparently, there's something about that makes you good. Like your Tom Cruise is crazy fucking. Yeah, I'm crazy.
All the thetans.
Like all the thetans. I get rid of them.
Yeah.
Purge my thetans, and I'm just a good actor. Just fucking like
You're in the clear, buddy.
Crossover dribbling on people. But yeah, so she's really good. Her performance is a solid 10, and the movie is probably a solid 7.5.
Oh wow!
But they do some clever things in it, but it's not really like a straightforward horror movie. It's really a story of abuse. So you have to kind of be prepared for that. That it's not like oh my god.
Yeah.
It's more like a psychological thriller kind of movie, but pretty solid. I think they've been trying to revive the Universal monsters for a while, and then that Tom Cruise mummy didn't go through.
Oh, that was part of that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That's another Scientologist. Scientologists in these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were trying to revive them, and that did so poorly that they just kind of like, all right, we're just going to do this, but it's not really, maybe it's part of that, maybe it's not. Like, I don't know how they're going to do the rest of them. It seems like stuff like the Creature from the Black Lagoon is just too dated. You can't really do like a scary sea monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like a fucking gill man kind of fucking thing.
Abe Sapien.
I just don't think it'll play well on screen. Although I would love to see them do, because they redid the Wolfman movie like years ago with Benicio del Toro.
Yes.
And it played a lot like the classic one, but I would like to see a more like, the werewolf movie doesn't get a lot of love anymore. I would like to see it like in the vein of like The Howling, something like that. Like just a real like fucking gruesome and gritty werewolf movie. I would love to see that genre come back. But I don't even remember the last one that was like schlocky and kind of stupid.
You know, they kind of better version of all those movies is What We Do in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they were going to do the sequel to that, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that project. Because I think they made the television show.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're good with that. Like, the werewolf thing would have been cool.
Yeah. Comedy, horror, that's like a big genre now.
Yeah.
But I would love just a straightforward, like, werewolf movie. Like Silver Bullet. Remember that?
No.
Ever see that?
No.
It's a...
You got the...
No, that's more of an action...
Kate Beckinsale.
It's like the Matrix plus fucking vampires and werewolves.
Uh-huh.
It's like basically what it is. It's like if you like the Matrix and you like tall boots and leather jackets, come watch this shit.
Whoa. It's no Blade, but yeah.
Yeah, Blade, same thing.
Yep. Techno.
It's got some cool, fucking like Ryan Reynolds and what's her name? Jessica Biel.
I never saw that one.
There's the third one.
Oh, okay.
I made through like 10 minutes of it.
Oh, yeah?
It's bad. I don't want to watch this.
It's no Queen of the Damned, but sure.
That movie might take the cake for the worst horror movie if you want to go on the other end of the spectrum for worst horror movies. There's a heavy hitter. The Interview the Vampire.
That one's good.
A very good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also with Tom Cruise.
Whoa.
I would argue his best performance in any movie to date.
Yeah, it's no Tropic Thunder, but
he's in the whole movie at least.
yeah.
Like he's good enough in that movie. Like, okay, it's Tom Cruise,
yeah.
right? And this is 1994, so it was like the height of his popularity. And you put him in this movie, and it's like I'll watch a movie and just forget it's fucking Tom Cruise. Like completely forget it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Which is a feat because he has so much charisma that it's like hard to hide it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can't. They're trying to put like Brad Pitt in a movie where he's like an unattractive dude or something, like it's like, oh, just no one likes my washboard abs, right? Like that. But they did it with Charlize Theron. They made her unattractive, so that should be a horror movie. Like you're just the premise. Like I have this idea for this terrifying movie. Oh, what's this movie that's so scary? So it's got Charlize Theron in it, and she's ugly.
What?
It's like, oh, like so scary.
That's not possible.
It's not, well, apparently it is. So it's like, fuck. I don't know. I just saw like the trailer for it, and I was like, oh, terrible. I'm terrified now. I don't want to watch that.
All right, I think that does it for this week.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know. You have anything else?
No, stay spooky, guys.
Yeah. Make sure to check the candy because there might be some Nickelback in it. You don't want another Nickelback in your candy. Those people put Nickelbacks in candy.
That shit was so funny, dude.
That's a pretty good Halloween meme.
Yeah. Like, damn. Okay. You should put it up. Put that meme up.
Right.
Like, there.
Cool. All right, that does it for this week, guys. Anything else?
No, stay spooky, y'all.
Stay spooky. Ooh. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. Consider subscribing. You can rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. And you can also write us with any ideas, suggestions, or horrible burning criticism at mikeyandthepresspass@gmail.com. Thank you.